Thank you so much for joining in. Not sure what's going on with the chat. For some reason there it is. It just appeared. Hi, Lapishi. Hi, Jisoo. Electroscaler. Electroscaler wrote 3 exclamation marks. Hello, Luna. Thank you all so much for joining in. For some reason, the chat was hidden, and now it just appeared. Well, if anyone wants to share their experience, please do. What's really on my mind today is looking at what is eternal and what isn't eternal. Said another way, looking at what is constant and what is constantly changing. Or maybe said more simply, what is unchanging and what is constantly changing. So the world and our bodies and all the things in this world are constantly changing. Doesn't look like it sometimes. Sometimes they look very solid. Now, I don't know that Bruno spoke about this, but other mystical traditions call that illusion. That the world appears to be unchanging when in fact it's constantly changing. That's also been called ignorance in the Buddhist tradition. So this becomes very important because what are we going to build our foundation on? What's a reliable thing to put our trust in? Something that's constantly changing is not a reliable thing to put our trust in. My understanding is there's really only 2 things that are completely reliable: God and a true teacher of God, someone like Bruno, someone like Christ. My understanding is that such a being has fully anchored themselves in that which is not changing, in God, the supreme reality. And such a pure being only has one really motive, and that's to help others. That's to help us, you and me, anchor into God. Who can fathom a helper such as Bruno Gröning? Who can fathom someone who all they do, literally the only thing they care about, is leading other people to God? It seems it's hard to fathom. And that's why a pure teacher, and I don't put myself in that category, a pure helper, a pure spiritual friend is completely trustworthy, because they don't want anything from you except to lead you to God. I haven't spoken about it so much, but a large part of my spiritual journey was putting my faith in false gurus, people who appeared to be pure but really weren't. And it's very harmful. You can learn from such people, and but you can't put your full, you can't surrender. Bruno once said, to the person who's unable to find themselves find their way out of trouble if they say, I place myself into your hands. Please guide me to the very end. Now that's a very profound promise that Bruno and a being like Bruno, we can completely trust in. It's so hard to fathom. Bruno was very much a human being, but he was also very much a pure human being. You could say unattached to things of the world. He once said, I'm paraphrasing, all I need is a loincloth and a sandals, but then I wouldn't be able to visit all the friends. So for that, he needed a car and a little money and some clothes. So, Bruno was very clear that that if we get to a certain place, we absolutely need a spiritual helper. And he also spoke about, that the spiritual helper can lead one out of the pit of filth and dirt, out of evil, but that the person then is sort of standing on the edge, and without a spiritual helper, they'll fall back in. Now, in the East, for example, in Hinduism, it's just a given that you can't attain enlightenment without a guru. That doesn't mean you don't have to be in physical connection with the guru, but you need to be in connection, whether it be, a physical or a heart-soul connection. It's just kind of like a fact of life. But in the West, especially in the 21st century, there's kind of this thing of like, oh, I can do it on my own. And certainly we have a part. Again, in the East, it's described as, the path to enlightenment is considered a bit of a tricky journey, filled with overcoming ignorance and illusion. And for that, it's said, we need a guide. Bruno doesn't use those exact words, but he uses that exact concept that the spiritual helper is indispensable. And that raises a larger question too. Like, what are we doing with our life? What's the meaning of life? Well, Bruno Gröning once said, and I don't have the exact quote, so I'm paraphrasing, that He said it's only here on this divine earth that a human being can enter fully into God. He used words like salvation and full redemption. He said we each come here with a specific task. And if I understand what he's taught correctly, the ultimate task for all of us is salvation, liberation, full redemption from everything not good. Who can fathom such a thing? It's hard to even fathom what it would be like to be fully free. But we all get tastes of it. And beautifully, I get tastes of it when I tune in. I hope others do as well. So let's sit for another minute or two. So once again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining in. Thank you for saying hello. Ah, Gerald, wow. Aloha. Long time no. Wow. Thanks for saying hi. Some of the old crew is showing up. Tobias was here. Tobias came a couple days ago. Wow. Thanks for saying hello. Now more people are showing up, and it's very hard for me to leave when because I just want to soak in this more and more and do whatever my small part in is sharing it. Hello, Christine. Thank you for saying hello or saying hello. Oh, thanks, Lapishi. So first of all, thank you. Lapishi wrote, thank you for your beautiful being, Arthur. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I promise I always, I promise I'm just a person on this path. I'm very clear I'm a yogi and not a guru. A yogi is someone who has a certain level of devotion to God. A guru is in the East, in the traditional language, is someone who is liberated and all they care about is liberating others. So I'm just someone who's made some progress and with a lot of help from that guy. And thank you. It's not so much Lapishi wrote, you don't have to promise anything. It's for my own humility, because arrogance is something I struggle with. And also, Yeah, some people look to me as a guru and certainly what I'm doing here on this channel is sharing some of my experience, but I'm not I'm just clear I'm not a guru. And I also want to and there's this other thing of like, this guy, Bruno Gröning, said, I am stronger than evil. And that's a very bold declaration. And that's he's a profound, profound resource. So I like to take in the compliments and then point back to that dude. Because I can't make the declaration I am stronger than evil. I haven't arrived at that point yet. I think it's inevitable that I will, and Lapishi will, and Gerald will, and Christine, that everyone will one day experience that, come to that place of, it's just I'm not there yet. Welcome. Hey everyone, this was a silent meditation, and how much better will our day go if we trust in Bruno and have faith in God? What if we just really take on the attitude, everything will be all right? There may be challenge in the moment, not denying that. We all here in this Earth School have challenges, but what would happen if we really just really just trust? Bruno's got it covered. Everything will be all right. Just really trust in him and have faith in God. It doesn't have to be Bruno. It could be Christ, or maybe there's another teacher that you really feel a strong connection to. But the kind of trust I'm talking about, the kind of trust that Bruno spoke to, and the kind of trust that's talked about in traditions in the East, is like entrusting your soul with someone, entrusting your destiny. Thank you. Luna wrote, happy to connect with you all. It is a delight. It's truly delightful. Spiritual community and spiritual family is such a blessing. Such a profound blessing. So part of my journey, I first found out about this. I didn't really study much. I just trusted in Bruno, tuned in, went to community hour. And then a variety of events happened, some of which I've shared, and kind of fell off the path. And now as I find my way back, Not completely fell off, but just more and more and more how important it is to trust in your spiritual helper or friend or teacher. I don't claim to understand why it works or why it's necessary, but I do know that it works. And trusting in Bruno doesn't mean we're going to get what we want. No. Sometimes we will. Bruno absolutely helps people get what they want. Sometimes, if it's what's best for them. Bruno Gröning is not a candy machine. Bruno Gröning is not a snack dispensary machine. But he is a goodness dispensary machine. He passes along the good, and he does help amazing things happen if it's what's best for us. You know, it's easy. I got a little arrogant. It was easy to be like, oh, well, I want this. Bruno's going to give it to me. Like I'm the boss. Like I could somehow boss around Bruno Gröning. Doesn't work that way. Like, oh, if I ask enough, if I tune in enough, then I'll definitely get it. It sounds so good and virtuous, right? Like if I just tune in enough, I'll get it. And I don't want to discourage anyone from tuning in, and I'm not discouraging anyone from seeking a healing or seeking a specific thing. And God's in charge. Bruno Gröning would say, I never give it to people the way they want it. I just give it the way God gave it to me. So if God passes the candy on to Bruno Gröning, then we get it. But it's really up to God. Yes. Christine wrote, the highest good. A being like Bruno is able to know the highest good, where we as human beings aren't. We're like, oh, I want this. I want this, so that's the highest good. But how many times is it not? Yes, that's what Bruno said, that he's a mediator. So if we turn Bruno Gröning into a candy machine in our minds, then we're going to be disappointed and we're going to lose faith. It's easy to have faith when you're getting what you want. Very easy. But Bruno Gröning said the state of the world is steered by God. Only things that serve as a lesson are allowed to happen. That's my understanding of what faith is. Said another way, I once read, all things serve the good. That's what faith is to me. This is not an easy school. The Earth School is not easy. Overcoming evil is not easy. If it was easy, we wouldn't need Bruno Gröning. Jesus wouldn't have needed to come. Bruno wouldn't have needed to come. Other great teachers and masters, they wouldn't have needed to come. We would have done it on our own. And that's why I say things like, I'm not a guru, I'm not, because I haven't fully made it out of the jungle yet. So I just like to be really clear with people about my role, and then also clear with myself so that I can stay humble. Because when I stay humble, then I turn to Bruno and God. When I don't stay humble, then I think, oh, I can do it on my own. And I get in trouble real quick. And I sometimes don't know what is more dangerous, no truth or a little bit of truth. Meaning, once we experience a little bit of spiritual truth, then it's easy to become arrogant about it. I often think of humility as one of the foundations, fundamental principle of the path. Without humility, then ego and arrogance kicks in, and there's nothing quicker to cut off the divine connection than ego or than arrogance. Aw. Welcome, Carolyn. Hi, long time no. And here's where it gets really tricky, friends, is we just can't follow other people. We just can't. It just doesn't work. And that includes me. Like I'm honored that people come and listen to what I have to say. And like, I'm not a worthy guide. If I'm doing my job well, I'm pointing people to Bruno and God, and I'm just explaining it in language that I hope makes sense. But the thing is until someone's made it out of the jungle of evil, out of the jungle of illusion, out of the jungle of delusion, then they're still in it. It's kind of like a crazy person that doesn't know they're crazy. Until someone has fully made it out, they haven't made it out. Until someone is fully free from all evil, they're driven by evil. The better the person, the less they're driven by evil, but they're still driven by evil. And that's the difference between, it's like, what's the difference between all of us and Bruno Gröning? Well, we can keep it really simple and say he's no longer driven by evil. Bruno Gröning said, if you take in one negative thought, you become a servant of evil. Think about that. If you take in just one piece of evil, one negative thought, then evil is driving you, at least a little bit. I recently got in an argument with someone in my family about the current world health situation. I just felt yucky afterwards. First, it's not fun to argue with people. It's less fun to argue with family. But part of why I felt yucky is, in essence, they were trying to convince me into fear, into lack of faith. It wasn't their conscious intent, but the things they were saying were all based on fear all based on lack of faith, all based on, in essence, evil. And I promise you, I have I do it too. I'm not trying to point the finger and say, oh, I never do that. But it just feels yucky. And what happens if I didn't catch it? What happens if I didn't catch, and a great story I heard about this was Dieter Hausler, the current head of the Bruno Gröning Circle of Friends. He's been driving motorcycles his whole life, since he was like a kid, since he was like 16, never had an accident. And then I don't know his age, I think, in his late 40s, someone said to him, oh, riding motorcycles are dangerous. And he didn't catch it. And like, he didn't catch that, like, oh, that's an evil thought. Like someone is giving me evil. He didn't catch it and he took it in. And then a week later, he had his first motorcycle accident. So it's not like that person was trying to pass along evil. That person was trying to be helpful. As was my relatives in that argument that I had recently. And we've all done it. We've all been trying to be helpful, and we've passed along evil to other people. The point of this isn't to beat ourselves up or beat other people up. The point of why I'm sharing this is this guy doesn't pass along evil. He only passes along goodness and the truth. And I need someone, I'm convinced. Convince yourself. I'm convinced I need someone like that in my life. No, he's not here physically, but you can absolutely have a spiritual connection with someone who's not here physically. It's like a pure friend. We all need a pure friend. We all need a true friend. We all need, I do anyway. I'll just speak for myself. I need a pure friend, a true friend. I want to overcome evil. I want to, in the East, they call it liberation, moksha, enlightenment. I want to be free. Who in this world is free? Who can lead me there? There are certainly people that have wisdom. And in my good moments, like I'm one of them. Like I share some spiritual wisdom every now and then, but I can't lead someone to freedom. That's why I need someone like Bruno. Someone who's accomplished the goal. Yeah. Wow, I thought this was going to be a little 10-minute meditation, and here we are 50 minutes later. And so, I mean, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I hope this is helping all of you, and it really helps me to speak the truth. Helps me oodles. And I don't say that fishing for a compliment. I say that to make a point. Speaking the truth is so powerful. I did after, I went out for a walk. I was starting my mornings reading some of Bruno's teachings, and then I'd go for a walk, and I bumped into a neighbor, and the neighbor just started telling me about one of their relatives who was very ill. And I just said, oh, well, nothing's incurable, nothing's impossible. I'll pray for them. And they were like, well, the doctor said da-da-da. And I said, well, I hear you. And nothing is incurable, nothing is impossible. I'm going to pray for them. It was so empowering to speak that to a stranger. Christine wrote, "We all humanity need a friend like Bruno." I do, and I think everyone else does, but very important. Very important to speak the truth. High vibration, also. It's so good. Everyone, this has been really delightful. Thank you so much for joining in. Made my day. And time just flies when we're in the stream. Forever Loving Everything wrote, "We are so blessed with Bruno." Thank you. I think, Bruno was all about God. He was all about pointing people to God, and that it's just this profound mystery of a true teacher, a true guru just points the person to God, and yet they have an indispensable part. And to encounter them, to have a teacher, a friend like that is priceless beyond words. Thank you for Ever Loving Everything. That's Dear God, dear Bruno, please, for everyone who attended today, everyone who will watch this video, please help us to be humble. Please help us to learn humility without getting our butts kicked. Because if we're not humble, Bruno said, I'm paraphrasing, but he said, the one who is arrogant will find himself on the floor in no time. Meaning if you're not humble, then life will humble you. So please, Bruno, help us to learn humility. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, dear ones. Hope to see and feel you all very soon. I'm very, very grateful. And I wish everyone a blessed day, because I know you blessed mine. Take care. Much love.